Hello my friends, Russell Wright from networkempire.com, and today we're going to jump right into Module 5, the index page, your flagship video, the biggest idea. And if you're joining us from outside of the networkempire.com private members area, it's a reminder that this is a module that's part of the larger course called the Video SEO Website Silo Architecture course. It's an expansion pack that builds upon the highly technical SEO structure that allows you to rank higher for thousands of keywords using up to 90% fewer inbound links than your competition that we've been teaching for over 10 years and that our software incorporates for you automatically. What we've discovered is that people need to add video and add persuasion architecture with a more focused intent so that they don't get overly technical and they forget to sell. Okay, so we're going to move on, and I'm going to be showing you some types of index videos that you may want to consider. I'm not telling you to do them individually. I actually combine all the factors that I'm going to show you here, both myself and my clients, when I'm creating an index video. Okay. The first one is going to be contrarian position. Your big contrarian position solution, product, or painkiller solves a problem and creates a distinction. See, I disagree. Contrarian philosophy and argument by itself, in and of itself, creates a distinction. It's a distinction creator. And that's one of the reasons I love this methodology. I like to throw a little bit of contrarianism in all of my marketing campaigns, even my inventions. I like to go against the status quo. And in fact, I believe that a lot of really important innovation comes from contrarian philosophy. Okay? And so what do I mean by contrarian? Let's go ahead and make it really clear. We're going to go over to Wikipedia, and we're going to actually read what it is that we're talking about here. A contrarian is a person who takes up a position opposed to that of the majority, regardless of how unpopular it may be. Contrarian styles of argument and disagreement have historically been associated with radicalism and dissent. Okay? But it's definitely eye-catching, isn't it? Okay. There's also a lot of information on Wikipedia on contrarianism in journalism. I love to use that form as well. Everything, here's some headlines. They even have it right here on Wikipedia. Everything you ever thought you knew about blank is wrong. Now, if you go back to my bonus module on persuasion mastery, you'll find that most of the great headliners and copywriters suggest using this kind of contrarian approach, at least for the intrigue first 30-second introduction of your ads. Okay? Good. Now that we've just defined contrarian, let's move over to type 2, because I want you to keep that one in your mind first. I put these actually not necessarily in the perfect order of importance, but because I use them all, but I think they're the most important for you. If I had to give them to you in an order of importance, like you had a gun to your head and you had to make sales by the end of the month building this video, this is what I would have you use in this order, but I actually want you to use all these types. Type 2 index video is the start with why, your compelling reason why. And hopefully you recall in the previous module when I talked about Simon Sinek's Start with Why, I use a combination of many persuasion mastery modalities. Why is a big one, because I'd like you to watch Simon's video here. I've got a link to it for you. I'm putting it in the members area as well. The main reason is that people do the exact opposite of what you're seeing here. They have what at the center, how in the middle, and then why on the outer ring. That's the last thing people think about when they're trying to create a compelling reason for you to join them or purchase from them or have a transaction with them. Okay, this model is correct, what you're seeing here. Why should be at the beginning, in the middle of your story. In fact, Simon trains people as well as I do to start with I believe. Okay, then you mention how you help enforce that belief with your technology services. And then you end with what? By the way, want to buy one? And getting good practicing that is really, really important. I practice every day and I don't always nail it. This has actually started to replace my 3-minute elevator pitch. Okay. If somebody asks me what I think as an expert about the future of my technologies or an area that they know I'm expert in, I'll talk about video. I believe that every human being on earth is going to really need to have a personal brand broadcasting network if they're going to be in business online. Okay. I deal with that by building technologies that bring in keyword research, website silo architecture, video website silo architecture, and video syndication and automation. We happen to be a great SEO company that has a huge amount of knowledge on semantic web. You want to buy some? Okay, so that's really, you end with what you do and what you sell, and you kind of talk about how you deal with it. But more importantly, you start with your why. I really want you to get this one because on the social media networks, this is the most compelling thing you can do. begin with why in every social phrase. Okay, so here's the golden ring video, golden circles ring video by Simon. Please do watch it. And here's an example of a client I have. Healing Grapevine starts with why. Okay, on this homepage video, she describes why she started the site, because she recovered from a potentially lethal disease. Okay, and this video is really almost all why. She didn't have any training. It's actually not even that effective of a close on her part, but it's highly compelling and it gets a huge amount of traffic on the social networks. Okay, doesn't necessarily get somebody to buy right there in 30 seconds or less, although sometimes it does. But it does get a lot of traffic, a lot of traction, and a lot of trust building. Okay, let's move on to type 3. Type 3 index video is your most compelling testimonials. I don't know why this is, but people don't tend to use a great testimonial. I saw a couple of SEO companies that I really liked when they did this. They actually didn't even talk about their company, didn't even get a company story. They just put their most compelling testimonials. Now I've got my site here, a snippet from my site here. This is the video that we did with Sue, myself, Matt DeCruz, but we have a ton of testimonials in this video on the homepage. Remember I said I use a lot of the techniques that I'm showing here, a lot of these type index page videos. I'll combine them, okay, which I'll talk about in the end here. But that's the main thing. See, a professional testimonial or interview with your #1 client or a huge fan is worth more than a personal rant. I promise you this. I've actually looked at the engagement rates. I've looked at how much more traffic and above average median the traffic and engagement remains. Very, very cool, and that's one of the reasons you want to use it. I don't know what it is, but this method is underused. I'm not sure why exactly. It just is. So start using it. Mike Long teaches using tons of testimonials. We agree. But I'm actually talking about your index homepage landing page. Now, this video is not really about the technical infrastructure about your index page, which should be a combination of all the technical research you've done in Domain Web Studio and making sure that you have all your keywords in there and your painkiller sentences. However, all that has to be in the video, and nothing persuades and nothing convinces and nothing communicates, will it work for me, to your client, than a testimonial. So people forget it, I think, or else they don't have any testimonials. Okay, and then we use this type on our Network Empire homepage, as I've already described for you. We're going to move right on to type 4 index video that I think is a great one. It's the most common. Okay, it's the sales video about your product, where you focus on the most profitable or compelling product. This is the most common type of homepage video. Here's one of our friends who owns Easy Webinar plugin. This is the standard layout. I think Optimized Press popularized it, and it's become a standard for every ClickBank product and software application out there. I think more and more people are going to need to create a distinction from this. Okay, so that's really an important one. I don't get into it too much. If you want to look at it, I've got a link for you so you can actually look at a couple of sales pages like this. Okay, let's move on to type 5 index video. Okay, your company or your corporate story. Back in the day when ThemeZoom was still, look how animated I am. I'm just teasing. Back in the day, David Bullock gave me a great interview at our first Network Empire, our first ThemeZoom certification. I was a little green behind the ears, a little wet behind the ears, and doing live events. It's our first one. And that interview got us so much reach. We had it on our homepage for a while. It's not there now on themezoom.com. We have more of a product or big idea video on there that Sue Bell has. But this is a really great way, your company or your corporate story. And again, it's not saying that you can't use a little bit of all of these. Okay. It's another example of a corporate story. Is my friend Larry and Oksana, his wife, at Be Well Buzz. Okay, Be Well Buzz, did their corporate story. I don't know why they don't have it on their homepage. I think they might have it on their About Us page because it really is only their corporate story. I think they're up on a green screen in San Diego, but that's cool, and that's what they're doing, and they really nailed it. Okay. Type 6 is all of the above. This is the combo. Okay, I use that. I use all aspects of that. Okay, I really like to include every aspect of the the set. I like to focus on the big idea. I like to start with why. I like to be contrarian, meaning go against the conventional wisdom. And I like testimonials either at the beginning or the end. At least an interview with a testimonial. Okay? So we use many of these above elements. So do have a look at the video that we have on the homepage, and you'll get some ideas. I'm not going to walk you through all this. Sue is in there, so it does have the whole company story. It's pretty risky to try to do all these at once. Sometimes it doesn't come off the right way. We had several edits and versions of this. Then we close with a bunch of testimonials. And really this kind of sells our big back-end product with the certification. It's a little bit controversial because it's also contained on our sales page for our software. So it's a little over the top for the software, but we made that decision based on back-ending. And back-ending is really about knowing that if you put forward your big back-end product and service at really expensive prices, your less expensive products and services become easier to sell. Okay? So those are pretty much the innovations. Okay? And hopefully you're going to go through them all again and start incorporating them on your sales pages, specifically on your index page. The reason I would like you to do your index page video first is there's this trickle-down creativity that happens. Trickle-down creativity allows your video on the index page to create this galvanizing fractal attractor, or this focus point. It's like your unmovable object. And when that happens, all of your other videos become very easy, because you get creative momentum, and you're able to add additional, when you start breaking them down into individual products, like you see on the second tier here on the side of landing pages. You've already done your start with why. The big one is the start with why. Why are we doing this? And what is our big product, and what's our big idea, and how are we different and contrarian, and what's our company story? When you do that, then it's easier to drop down into the, okay, now I'm going to sell you painkiller product number 4. We built this because of blah, blah, blah. And by the way, remember we told you that our company story, so it's all there. You've created a context. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. Please go through the tasks inside this module and then move on to the next module. I'll see you then.